in mainstream teaching, right? Again, before I start, I want to start with a short story, and you need to identify the connection between the story and today's topic, right? Nearly 500 years ago, 1452, there was a little boy born in Italy, a small city, a small town called Vinci. The boy was born there. The boy was considered as an outside of the wedding lock marriage born child. The father was an aristocrat, and the father was a notary writer, not a lawyer, but a notary writer. He used to write the legal documentation. And the mother was the household help in that authority, that person. But they were never married. So when the child was born in 1452, the child didn't get much opportunity to study properly, because at that era, the children outside of the wedding lock were not allowed to go to the mainstream teaching. So the child was unable to have a proper education. But the father was highly influential in the society. So when the child was 14 years old, father sent the child to Florence. That time in Italy, Florence was one of the major cities that offered good education. He went to Italy, Florence, to study and to learn, but again didn't get the chance to study in a better schooling. So the father decided to send him in an art school, the only one place that a child can go and learn without the wedding lock born was art school only. So he went to an art school, he started studying. Within a year, he became so famous that all his art school teachers said that he is way above our capability to teach. Still, the government or the society didn't allow him to go to a proper schooling. Somehow, the child managed to study in Florence and learn art, painting, anatomy, sculpture, physics, science, maths, English literature, and many of the other things. By this time, can anyone guess who I am referring to? Leonardo da Vinci. Absolutely perfect. It is Leonardo da Vinci. When he was 30 years old, 1482, he went to Rome to identify his own identity. After going to Rome, he joined in a very famous art school in there. He started learning art even more in depth. His professor who was teaching his art, he was one of the best artists in his time. He was painting a large painting, he was drawing a large painting, and he asked Leonardo that you can add one angel at the corner of my painting. I will do the whole painting only on the corner, on the top, in a corner. You can add one of your footprint, an angel. Leonardo smiled and said that yes, I will do that. He drew one angel on the top of that painting. When his painting was completed, his professor was stunned that Leonardo's painting was far better than his painting. It was so realistic that whoever the audience came to see the painting, they overlooked the professor's creation. All of them started praising Leonardo's that one small angel on the top of the corner. His professor was very happy, at the same time very sad. And he announced that after today, I will never touch my paintbrush because my student exceeded my capability. And he never touched his paintbrush again. Leonardo started his journey. Why it is connected to diversity and equity and inclusion? Any quick thought? Why it is connected to diversity, equity and inclusion? Let me finish the story, then probably we'll understand. When he was in Rome, Leonardo started exploring different kind of things. He was so intelligent that he started science, physics, chemistry, maths in a complete different way, even biology. Today also, when the medical students, they start anatomy classes, the first picture they see is drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. Though he was not a medical student, he was not a biologist. What he did, his observation was so powerful and keen, he started cutting the dead bodies, dissection, to understand how the muscle looks like inside the body, how the organ looks like inside the body, and how the muscle covers the bone. And that reflected when he started painting. His painting is so realistic. You will be surprised to know one thing, that when he was doing all his artwork and painting, that time science invention was not like today. But he invented and he drew something which is surprising, that how did he know about it? 500 years ago, he drew the parachute, now model of a parachute. He drew a model of a helicopter. He drew what is that called? Not submarine, the tank, the missile tanks, all this kind of thing, a bridge which could be used and assembled within 15 minutes without a rope or a nail. All these things he drew, and he wrote the description that this is how it can be done. In 1902, nearly 450 years after, the scientists of America, they tried to explore what Leonardo da Vinci drew at that time, that whether those things will work. You will be surprised that all his models, whatever he decided or he planned or he drew, all things are actually the working models. Even now also, majority of the scientific fictions, whenever you were seeing in movies, the designs are taken from Leonardo da Vinci. After living in Rome for nearly 15 years, when he was 46, 47, the young artist took over the art and culture in Rome. He went out from Rome and he wanted to find a better place to explore his opportunity. Remember one thing, that time it was the Renaissance period. How many of you know what is called Renaissance? Not the history teacher. Arujit, you raised your hand. Devajit, you raised your hand. What is Renaissance? You should be giving me the answer. Renaissance. What is Renaissance? Renaissance means re-looking the scenario from a different perspective. In Italy, the Renaissance started as a method of new invention or new inventive era. Leonardo da Vinci, that time he was 47, 48 years old. and you had to compete with the modern artists. Who are they? Botticelli, Raphael, all these people are already started working. And majority of the work was given to the younger artists, not to Leonardo. Leonardo then tried to find a living. Then at that time, the king of France, Francis the One, he was a big fan of Leonardo. He came to know that Leonardo is looking for a job to survive. He offered him a job to come down to France, and he gave him a palace to live, a small palace to live. And the king of France, Francis the One, was his best friend, philosopher. Leonardo was the best friend and the philosopher and the guide to Francis the One. What Francis the One asked Leonardo to add in his kingdom, not painting, not sculpture, not anything. He just asked Leonardo that every day I want to spend 2 to 3 hours with you just to talk and just to understand the nature, the human era, the science and everything. Leonardo smiled and agreed with him. Within this period of time, when he was living in France, he completed 2 mind-blowing pictures. Can you tell me the name of those 2 paintings, which is still a mystery of all-time artwork? 2 paintings. One is Mona Lisa and the other one is The Last Supper. These are the 2. The Last Supper, where Jesus Christ was having his dinner with 12 of his disciples. What made the painting so unique? Any idea what made the painting so unique? That painting is all about Jesus is having his last meal, and he said that by tomorrow one of you will go against me and that person will be the cause of my death. When he passed this comment, the 12 figures next to him, some of them are frightened, some of them are shocked, some of them are angry. Everybody's expression in that particular painting is so beautiful that even today's era, AI also cannot draw that kind of picture. Can you imagine that he drew it with a paintbrush on a wooden platform with the paintbrush, what he drew that time? Even today, AI also cannot go to that perfection. That's why the painting is one of the best creation on the planet. And the second one is Mona Lisa. Nobody knows where that lady came from. There are lots of stories behind it. Somebody says that the lady was a noble lady from Rome. Some says that she was an Indian origin. Some says she was a Portuguese lady. But nobody knows where she belonged to. And the facial expression, the eyes. I saw that painting on my own eyes in Louvre Museum in France. There is a big queue when you actually see the painting. It is in the 14th room, number 14, that painting is there. When you enter into the room, you will be seeing the lots of people are doing standing in the queue. When your turn comes, wherever angle you go, the painting will actually follow you. If you go to the extreme left, you will see that the Mona Lisa is looking at you and giving you a mysterious smile. If you go to the extreme right, the painting still is looking at you and giving you a smile. Even there is a ladder, a wooden ladder kept. If you climb up to that ladder, you will see from the top also the painting is looking at you, the down also the painting is looking at you. That is so wonderful and so beautiful. The skin, these fine lines next to the eyes are so beautifully done that AI also couldn't do anything like that. So this is Leonardo da Vinci. He died in the year of 1560 by the age of 64, 65. And when he died, the King Francis I was next to his deathbed. Now I finished. Tell me why this topic is relevant to understanding diversity, equity and inclusion. I will give you some hints. Leonardo da Vinci, first hint I am giving, he never knew his identity because he was not officially given the surname of his father. Vinci was the name of the village where he was born. He had only one name, Leonardo. Da Vinci means from Vinci in Italy. So Leonardo da Vinci was not his identity, only Leonardo was his identity. First clue. Second clue, 65 years of his life, he never had a permanent home. He never had a family. He never had somebody close to him except Francis I, the king. Last couple of years, he spent time with him. Also, the identity crisis made him suffer a lot throughout his time. You imagine a child was born without the birth tag, without the acceptance of the society, but the child became one of the famous person in the whole world without the acceptance. He was never accepted. His fame came after his death. When he was alive, he was not given the respect which he actually deserved. So now I gave you guys the clue. Now tell me why it is diversity, equity, and inclusion. Use your brain a little bit, you will be able to find out. If you don't, then I will only be able to help you. But in that case, you have to tell me, shall I go ahead? Or you will be taking a little bit more time to understand. Which one? Shall I go ahead? Or you will be giving me the answer? Don't you think Leonardo's life was a part of diversity? Or what is called the diversity means differentiation, right? He was a part or perfect example of which is called diversity. Every time when he tried to find his own identity, he had to adapt a new geographical location, a new language, a new living standard. So his adaptability to the outside world or to the surroundings were very, very powerful. Now it comes to the equity. What do you mean by the word equity? The pronunciation is not equity, it is equity. What do you mean or what do you understand when I say that equity? What does it mean? And how it differs from equality? Equality and equity almost similar, but there are the difference. I saw Muzammil sir raised his hand. Muzammil? Sorry? Providing fair opportunity is called equity. Is it correct? Is it correct? Then what is equality? Bhavani sir. Equality is? Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Bimal. So what is equality? Absolutely correct. Equity means, yes I am. close. Now I am telling you the definition of equity. Equity is when the support system is based on your individual need. It is not the uniform policy. It is the tailor-made policy that is called equity. And equality is when the same opportunity is given to all of you. That is called the equality. In this room, today the AC is functioning properly and every one of you is getting the cooling, even the fan. But that is called equality or equity. A little bit louder. That is called the equality. Imagine that one of you has a pedestal fan next to you is called the equity. Right? You understand what I'm trying to say? So why Leonardo da Vinci's life is a perfect example of equity? Why Leonardo da Vinci's life was a perfect example or is a perfect example of equity? The reason is Leonardo da Vinci was denied the support from the society. He never get the chance to attend a proper schooling. He never had the chance to interact with the people from the society within. But he created all the support systems for him to go ahead with his situation. He was not blessed with the privileges, but he created those privileges for him and he survived 64 years with offering something which nobody in that era was able to do. So that is equity, means he created his own path with the support system that was available and he customized those support system according to his desire. So that is a perfect example of equity. Now, what is the relevancy between the equity in his life and the equity in your classroom? When I say that DEI is 21st century's most discussed topic of classroom management or classroom teaching methodology, where equity is one of the most. So Leonardo da Vinci's reference, use it and tell me why it is important to understand what is equity in the classroom. I will tell you only. In the classroom, there are 25 children. According to MM Senior, we don't take children more than 25, 28 in one classroom. So there are 25 to 28 children. And as MM school, our strength is a little bit less compared to the other schools like APS or DPS or majority of the schools. The entry point we are unable to screen, means whoever is coming to take the admission, if the child is average, we take the admission because we need the number. So in the class, our 25 children are there in the class. They are not from the same background. Some of the students are coming from the RT background, Right to Educational Act. They don't speak a single word of English. Probably their parents are the daily labor or something like that. But because of the government support, they're coming to a high-end school where the next child sitting next to that person probably is coming from a multimillionaire background. And the next child, the RT child, is coming from the daily wages labor. Right? So these are the diversification in the classroom. Some of them, they speak English as the language at home at least one point of time or watch English cartoons. The other child in the classroom, not even speaking in Hindi, they speak in Chhattisgarhi. Only one or two words they learn from Hindi. So the class is a diversification class. But you have to make, as a facilitator or a teacher, to train the children to adapt the possibility of learning. Right? That is called the equity which Leonardo da Vinci followed throughout of his life. He just grabbed those opportunities to proceed himself through. And in classroom, as a facilitator, your job, your role is to make the children aware that I am there to support you, but you have to create your own learning strategies. Yesterday, ma'am, you asked me about the differentiated learning. I understood that many of you don't know. Today I will give a perfect example so that you guys can understand and you guys can implement in the classroom. Now it comes to the inclusion. Why inclusion is important to that Leonardo da Vinci's lifestyle. When I said the first one is the diversity, he moved from one geographical location to another location. He learned one language to another language. He learned to live in a different physical and geographical location. He needed to adapt the surroundings where he was moving forward. From Vinci to Florence, from Florence to Rome, from Rome to a small village in France. So this was his journey. And you need to understand that he didn't have a family to go along with him. Wherever he went completely alone and he adapted that new environment in the society. So that calls inclusion. He was actually adapting everything whatever was coming in his way. So he was inclusively making himself connected to the new environment where he is going. Now you understand why I started this story with today's topic, right? Do you think it makes sense? When you talk about DEI in the classroom, CBSE mandate and inclusion of Bal Batika, it is not only one strategy that we need to understand. It is actually a living standard or a teaching standard or methodology. This topic was suggested by Mr. Arijit. Arijit told me that said this is the 21st century learning and recommended by CBSE. So can we actually take up the topic? So today's topic is understanding diversity, equity and inclusion in school learning, and I added one more column in here is inclusion of the Bal Batika and inclusion of the CBSE mandate. Coming to the next slide, why DEI matters in education. I gave you an example by sharing a story. I want you to tell me, don't read those points, the one that I created, the bullet points. I want you to identify why does it matter? Why DEI is very, very important for school education system. Any answer without seeing the board? Every student should get the equal opportunity, correct? Anything else? Equal respect, correct? Shally ma'am. Absolutely. Opportunity to be heard. Absolutely correct. Anything else? Bimal. Create a safe and healthy environment for learning. Correct? Anything else? Yes, Lippy ma'am. Correct. All of you are correct. So now I will be reading out. Every child has the right to quality education because that is our education is our according to constitution. What is education? Education is our birthright and we must have it, right? First. Second is schools are microcosms of society and should reflect inclusiveness. Third, DEI promotes participation, belongingness and equal opportunities. Those who are very regular to the social media, probably some of you have seen one cartoon that a big window, three people are standing in front of the window. One is quite tall, one is the medium height, and the another one is short or dwarf. So that is the first picture. In second picture, you see that all three of them, by the name of the equal opportunity, all three of them were given a stool to stand on it. And the second picture is saying that the tallest person out of all these three is standing on the stool, and his head is so high above the window he is unable to see the outside. The middle person, who is the middle average height, he is standing on the stool, he is perfectly able to see the window and the outside. And the dwarf, who has been given that stool, is standing on the stool but only able to see a little bit of it. Is it equity or it is equality? Providing the stool was the support. Is it the equity or is it the equality? It is the equality, because when the support was provided, nobody thought that it should be tailored. The tall person doesn't require a stool. The middle person required a stool. The dwarf or the smallest person required a more heighted stool. That is the example of equity, right? When the stool height will be decided based on the height of that individual. So that is how DEI promotes participation, belongings, and equal opportunities in the classroom. Aligns with the vision of the Central Board of Secondary Education (CBSE) and National Education Policy 2022. The key goal of providing or establishing DEI in the classroom is ensure that no learner is left behind. Right? Come to the normal practice in your classroom. Which one? A good question, but the answer is, when we talk about education, it is always the outcome should be related to the holistic development of a child. But DEI doesn't only focus on the holistic development. It creates the environment for the development. So DEI is not directly connected to that part. DEI is creating the environment for the holistic development. Clear? Now come to the normal practice, what we do in school. Do we provide the children the measured stool for them, or do we prepare an uniform lesson plan or a teaching strategy to deliver in the classroom? I want you to be honest. As an observer, as an educationist, I have my own understanding, but I want you to understand your understanding. When you go to the class, does your lesson plan or does your teaching strategy create the differentiated learning opportunity, or we just prepared one lesson plan, one learning pedagogy or strategy for the entire class? If you don't give me the answer, I will tell that this is the second one. We create only one strategy to teach in the classroom, and then we question that why not all the children are paying attention into my teaching pedagogy, why they are not listening when I am talking, why they are not following the instruction. Now you know what is the reason behind it. The reason is the teaching strategy that we follow in classroom that is not suitable for each child in the class. That might be suitable for some of us or some of the children, but not for us. That creates two areas. One is the problematic classroom management, and the second one is non-responsive or unresponsive students. You just take that example of present 9. I always give that class because I know them very well. The present 9 class, when you were teaching something in the class, There are students, those who will be able to give you the answer immediately. There are students like Krishna, Kanha is now doing a better job, Vabesh, all this, who? Varun, all this in grade 10, Laksh Kukreja, they are completely silent in the class. Whatever you're teaching, it goes above their brain or above their head. They are not able to understand, they are not able to give you the answer. That's why they lost interest in teaching methodology. So for them, coming to the school is not attending to the class or to the lesson. Parental force, pass the quality time with the friends and the sports. That is their interest. Understanding diversity. I will come to the solution part later. Now, the next one. Understanding diversity. What is diversity? I already gave an example by telling the story of Leonardo da Vinci. Today I will tell another story when I come close to that conclusion part. So what is diversity? I give an example that one child coming to your class is from a multi-millionaire financial background. Another child is coming to your class from the RT background. One child is coming from English speaking background. One child is coming from Hindi. One child is coming from Chhattisgarhi background. One child is bringing a lavish packed lunch with dry fruits. Another child is bringing chapati and sabji and some kurkure for the snacks part. So the diversification is there. That is the diversity, right, in the classroom. But as a teacher, what should be your role, ideal role, to make everybody feel better or feel welcome? Some of the external factors you cannot control, right? You don't have the power to control. You cannot control what the child is bringing as a pack lunch. The parent can only decide. You have no right to say. You cannot call that multimillionaire parents and say that, ma'am, majority of the children, they are not capable of bringing that kind of lavish food. So please don't say, because other children, they get discriminated. They feel discriminated. They feel that how privileged that other child is, how non-privileged I am. You cannot say that. You cannot tell the parents that always communicate in English in the class at your home, because they are diversification. So what could you do to make it equal? How? The discriminatory points are already there, which is outside of your control, which is outside of my control. Even as the head of the institution, I cannot control this. Some of them, they are wearing the clothes. Whenever the birthday celebration in the classroom, they are wearing a cloth from a Rare Rabbits. Some of them are wearing the clothes from Reliance or Vishal Megamart. And some of them, when their birthday, they are bringing Ferrero Rossi to distribute among the children. Some of them are bringing only a Kit Kat or small chocolate eclairs. So those things are out of your hand. But those small things make the huge impact on the child mindset. Agree or not? It makes an impact on us also, adults. When you go to a social gathering, if you see that the other guests are wearing more heavy cost jewelries or clothes or branded things, you are not quite up to the mark. Sometimes we feel inferior. Sometimes when you see that a person is very good orator, speaks beautifully, and you are not able to speak in that manner, that person is delivering a speech. After some times, you are called to give a toast to the newlywed couple. You are or I am inferior, that I might not be able to stand up like the way he or she did. So that makes an impact. So what will you do as a teacher in the classroom? What would be your understanding? I will ask this question at the very end, and I want every single of you to give me an answer. So think throughout the journey. Understanding diversity, first is the language and the culture. Second is the gender and the identity. Why the gender and the identity? Why the gender and the identity? Have you ever faced the challenge in the classroom of gender and identity? A little bit of non-conventional topic I will talk about today, and I want to share a personal experience of mine when I was in my other school in Hyderabad, Karimnagar. A child came to take admission in grade 6. The name of the child is Sivalli. Ashini ma'am, you are from Telangana, right? You heard about Sivalli's name? Google it if you have the mobile. Indian junior girl or lady cricket team, Sivalli. You can find out. You know that name. You heard that. So now I will tell that what I did to make Sivalli today what she was. Sit down. Sivalli and his father, he's a government teacher, and the mother, they came to take admission in my school. They had a condition that before taking admission, they wanted to meet the head of the institution. So I was available, I called them. I had a discussion. Sivalli came along with his father and mother. That time he completed his 5th and came for the 6th grade admission. When Sivalli entered into my room, I was unable to understand whether he was a boy or she was a girl. Because the appearance, very masculine appearance, short hair, tall growth, body language and everything like a boy, teenage boy. She came, she entered into my cabin, sat with his father and mother. When he started speaking, I asked her to introduce yourself. She started speaking. The voice is completely feminine, but the look and the structure is completely malish, like a gentleman or a boy. I was under the confusion that what I am getting into. Then the father said that, sir, I visited many of the schools. My only demand, my child is very good in cricket, but no school is offering her the full-time cricket coaching alongside with the boys. I thought about this process, and as I had experience working in England for many years, I know where this is going, because there the gender discrimination and the gender crisis is very much common. At least out of 10 children, one will be coming to your school, the college that I used to work in London, one of them would be either transgender or LGBT community or straight or something otherwise. So I said to the parents that I want to talk to Sivalli alone with the physical coach of my school. His name was Rahim. Both of us, we started talking. I asked Sivalli that what do you want? So he said, मुझे पढ़ाई में कोई दिलचस्पी नहीं है. I don't want to study. But parent, as my father is a teacher, my mother is a nurse, they are forcing me to learn and to study. I want only play. After discovering that what his orientation, sexual orientation, I understood that she will be shooted with the boys' team. I called the parents and I said that okay, I will be giving her the admission, but you have to give me in written that whenever she will be going for coaching, whatever the backlog, you guys need to complete it at home. I will not be able to create a separate learning platform. Parents agreed. Sivalli started his journey in my school. She was offered after the school working hours the cricket coaching under my observation and Rahim's coaching. Today Sivalli is selected for the national Indian girl team and she is the she is the vice captain of the team. You guys can Google, as Bimal said. After the selection, Sivalli made a call to me. She didn't find my new number because when I left, I submitted my school SIM, so she didn't have. So what she did, she went physically to Paramita's school and she searched for my number. Anukar and chairman said they have my number. She will give a call to me. And she said that because of you, today I am able to identify my place. So that is called the gender and the identity. What as a teacher you need to understand that some of the children will be having that question mark that what should be my occupation. You might will be getting along with a child will say that though he is a boy, but the child might say that I will go for home science. I want to learn cooking. You need to, what you need to do? Will you be going ahead with the parents? Parents will say that no, मैम उसके दिमाग में ये बैठ गया है. आप काउंसलिंग करके जैसे भी तैसे उसके दिमाग से ये हटा दे, उसको इंजीनियर बनना है. What would be your role? When it comes to the inclusion in the classroom, what would be your role? You will be following the parental mindset or you will be doing what your instinct says. I suggest what your instinct says. So the third one is socio-economic background. As I said that some of them are from poor, some of them are from financially strong. Learning styles and ability. Religion and ethnicity. Geographic location, physical and intellectual abilities. In school, every single classroom consists of learners with unique experiences, strengths and need. Now, understanding equity. We already discussed about it. Can anybody give me a solid definition? What is equity in the classroom? A solid definition, please. I already said the definition. Bimal. Thank you very much. Two things you did. One, you identified what is the equity, one example of equity, and second thing, you mentioned about the USP of School. Not many schools offer this kind of facilities. Well done. Sit. Anybody else can give a real example? Devajyoti ma'am. That is a good one, but non-existence. In real life, it is not existing. The reason is two. One, I cannot ask the teachers to stay back after their working hours. At 2, everybody packs their baggage and they go home. I don't have the right, or if I have the right, I don't want to use it because that starts your personal time. So I don't want your personal time to be dedicated for school improvement or for the students. So what is the solution? What Devajyoti ma'am says. Remedial classes. During the school hours only, you can arrange a remedial classes for that particular child. Cutting short the performing arts period, music, dance, sports, all these kind of things, art period. You can cut short and you can take the child to library or a separate room and give a remedial classes. So equity is when you are offering required support based on individual's need is called the equity. So what are the elements of that? Equity means provide support according to individual needs. Second is different learners may require different resources and opportunities to achieve similar outcomes. Third, equity ensures fairness in learning opportunities. The difference between equity and equality is equality, same support for all, like the way the stool was provided. Equity is support based on the need. Equality, uniform approach. Equity is inclusive approach. Equality is focus on access. Equity is focus on success. Agree? Come on. Agree? Now, when I say the word focus on subject, thank you, ma'am. When I say focus on success, what does success mean to you as a teacher? Very important question. I want all of you to think. What does success mean to you as a teacher or as a facilitator? Some of you are the parents. You have your own children. What does success mean to you when you are a mother or a father? What does success mean to you in regards to your child when you are a father or a mother? What do you want to see? A successful child. As a mother, what would you like to see in your child? Please say, otherwise I will not be able to move on. Rajashri. Growth. In which terms? Tall? So? What is development?
Suppose a child is able to parents determine success as a development of
Bhavani sir. In a child upbringing, economic growth doesn't matter because the child, until the child starts earning, the economic feature will not be added. So what is required? Arijit sir, he wanted to say something. Identifying the level of potential and achievement based on the ability, right? Absolutely perfect definition what he said. So success means every single person, the success is different, right? For Srivali, the success was not the academic report card. The success was including herself in the district, in the state, in the national team. And finally, to play on behalf of India. That was her success. Success for another child in the class is might be the report card that I want to become the top of the classroom. So success means different things to different people. But what you consider as a success of your child in the classroom? Not your own child, that student. Your student's success. What is the success of your student in the classroom according to you as a teacher? Very simple answer. Yes, Abhishek. Bapre. He said something, become a good human being, that outside of my track record. Though I focus on that part. No, not that. Yes. Growth according to their potential. How can you measure that growth? When I say that success in the classroom of your student, what is the tangible thing that you can check? You have to convince the parents in the PTM now. Whatever I am saying, I always want to connect it with the real life situation. So when you want to say that the growth of my child in the classroom or growth of my children in the classroom, there should be a tangible change. So what is that tangible change? Diksha ma'am. I will take one word from your answer, level which he is changing or she is changing according to the standard. So for you, the success of your children in the class is development from one phase to another phase. Right? A child coming to your class during the admission test, the child score 10 out of 80. The parent think that within 1 year during the final PTM, the child now scored 30 or 25 out of 80. The parent came and said, ma'am, I am very disappointed. My child didn't score well. Only 25 out of 80. So what the answer would you give during the PTM? You all face this situation, right? Every single one of us face this situation. So what answer would you give? You know what I do in my cabin? Anita ma'am knows. Mr. Mayur, he says one thing, that if most problematic parent come to school, connect them with principal sir. Somehow we will manage them to calm down and the anger issue will be completely resolved, and it happens. Ma'am knows and Justin ma'am knows. You know what I do when this situation comes? I just give a call to 203 to Justin ma'am and I ask them, can you please bring the admission test copy to my cabin? I take that admission test copy and I put it in front of the parent and I said that 1 year before the child came scoring 10 out of 80. After 1 year studying in my school, the child is now 25 out of 80. Can you see the growth? When you say that with the tangible evidence, the parent cannot say deny it. They say, yes, but I am not happy with the growth. If the parent is really argumentative, they will say, I see the growth, but I am not happy with it. Then your job is to make them understand that what is the true potential of the child. You know the feedback form that I used in my school for PTM, that was designed by me. Previously something else was there. Anita ma'am and all the old teachers, those who are working here since long, they know. I added one column at the top, share your child's strength and weaknesses. Majority of the parents, they leave that place empty because they don't know what is the strength or weakness of their child. You as a teacher know better than them. So what I was telling is, success is tangible evidence of one phase to another phase. Now I will give a break to complete your tea, and after 5 minutes we will start again. In this between, informal interaction, think, pair and share. I am just telling you, just write it down, later we will come to you. Think, pair and share activity. How many of you knew about Leonardo da Vinci before I told the story? Name all of you know, I know that. But how many of you knew who he was? You didn't know the name. Okay. My next story today to connect with this topic is a famous queen. I will not reveal the name, you need to identify the name. But a very famous queen whose life is a perfect example of inclusion. She struggled from the day one until she died. I want a feedback. Do you guys think that my sessions are interesting? How many of you think that it helps you to nurture your ability as a teacher? Thank you. Thank you, guys. It gives me a positive feedback. Thank you. My next task for the senior teacher is tomorrow, day after tomorrow and Saturday. Saturday I will not assign any task. For tomorrow and day after tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, I want you to come prepared with a micro lesson plan, micro teaching methodology, including whatever I taught during last couple of days. I want the reflection in your lesson plan and your teaching methodology. Every single teacher will be given a 10-minute slot to come and teach, but not the conventional way. The way which I guided: inclusive classroom, differentiated learning, experiential learning, experimental learning, Socrates discussion, all these things should be included, whatever I said this time. Maker space, every single thing I want you to include. Only 10 minutes. You need to prepare a small lesson plan. 4 components should be there. Teaching learning objectives, teaching pedagogy, activity, learning outcomes. Only 4, not more than that. And don't need to write anything. Prepare soft copy. You need to project on the screen and you need to go for only 10 minutes. So that will be your task for tomorrow and day after tomorrow. The teacher's name will be randomly selected by me only. I will only call the teachers to come forward. Okay? And junior branch teachers, I want to say one thing. Yesterday only I wanted to share a feedback to you. I am personally happy the way you actually participated yesterday. You were actively involved and I could see that you had questions to ask. You were listening, you were actually taking notes. So I am very happy with that. I personally spoke to Mayurji yesterday, and I gave my personal feedback that this time I have seen a changes in the junior branch teachers. They were very happy, and I said that I am going to provide the certificate to them as per the CBSE mandate. Today what I request, Anita ma'am, when you collect the attendance, all of you please write down your phone number. So the certificates can be forwarded to your phone number, WhatsApp. WhatsApp number only I want. So the certificate will directly be given to you and one copy will be sent to your center head ma'am also. Okay? Shall we come back to the discussion? So now the next is understanding inclusion. What is inclusion? Inclusion means every single child should feel valued and respected in the class. Second, learners actively participate in classroom activities. I just said, think, pair and share. Then differences are accepted and celebrated. Barriers to learning are identified and removed. Inclusive classroom feature is safe learning environment, flexible teaching methodology, student participation and collaborative learning. Yesterday I announced one thing, that 2026-27 academic year, School is opening the inclusion department. And this is the first attempt in entire Chhattisgarh that there will be an inclusion department which will be functioning separately. The classroom is in the 3rd floor. It is getting ready with the CCTV installation and AC and all furnitures are already been ordered. I already communicated to some of the teachers to take care of the inclusion department. Timetable has already been designed and prepared. One thing only remaining is the parental orientation program. So inclusion means every single child should feel valued, loved and nurtured in the classroom. Right? We need to understand and accept their true measures of potential. Is it visible? Visible or not visible? Not visible now because of the color code. I am telling you, I will do one thing. I will share this PPT to all of you. When you share your phone number, I will forward this yesterday's and today's presentation to all of you for your reference. So DEI in CBSE, this slide I want all of you to pay attention. This is CBSE mandate. Okay. What is CBSE saying? CBSE is emphasizing inclusive and equitable quality education, child-centered pedagogy, gender sensitivity, universal accessibility, respect for diversity, learning without discrimination. And what are the key focus area? Foundational literacy and numeracy, inclusive assessment, holistic development, and experiential learning. I spent quite a good amount of time discussion on experiential learning, on experimental learning, which I will not repeat again. So CBSE is asking all these things. Now tell me, this time I want the answer from the group. Pre-primary teacher, the nursery teacher who was sitting at the back. Do you believe that your classroom is DEI classroom? I want an honest answer because in here no outsider. It is us only, family. So is your class a DEI class? Pre-primary teachers must need to give me the answer. KG1 and KG2. After understanding what I said, do you think that you have the opportunity to provide the DEI classroom or you don't have the opportunity? If you don't give the answer, I will only give the answer from my observation. Anyone from the back? Ma'am, what's your name? Shakina. Okay, Shakina ma'am, well done. Yesterday also you were very responsive. So ma'am said that 50-50. That means the DEI opportunity is not there. Right? I agree with you. Why it is not there? Is it your fault? Is it the fault of the management? Is it the fault of the center head? Or is it the fault of external inputs? Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. What's your name? Khushi. Khushi ma'am and Shakina ma'am, both of you, really I appreciate. Khushi ma'am, you said a very perfect answer that even if we want to give the opportunity, we can't give the opportunity. The external factors are one, you have a syllabus to complete within the time frame, right? You have to make all the activity which is planned in your academic calendar. You guys didn't do the calendar. The management or the center heads did the calendar and you have to follow that. Third, if you are providing extra support to X child, why parent come and said that I came to know that X child is given more attention compared to my child? Why it is happening? I am also paying the same amount of fees. So what you are doing with the X, you have to do that with the Y. You cannot convince that Y child doesn't require that extra attention. So these are the practical factors which if you want the solution, you can reach out to me. 100% I will be able to give you the better solution how to deal with this situation. Primary school grade 1 to 5. Is your class a DEI classroom? MM campus, this campus, 1 to 5 teacher. I want you to give me an answer whether your classroom is a DEI classroom. Coordinator ma'am, Priyanka ma'am. Okay, Sarita ma'am, where are you? Yes, you are there. Anushree ma'am, where are you? Yes, ma'am, get to. Priya ma'am, where are you sitting? Yes, ma'am. Diksha ma'am, agree. Lipi ma'am, your observation? Give a big round of applause to grade 1 to 5 team of Amit School. As a principal, as a center head, what my observation, I will tell you now. Last year only we started focusing on the differentiated learning. And I am immensely happy that DEI elements are 80% to 90% implemented in our school. And this time to reach out to the 100%, the decision that I have taken in grade 1 and 2, we are going to provide an additional teacher in the classroom, apart from the mother teacher, apart from the subject teacher. So another one teacher also will be available in the classroom. So two teachers will be there now for grade 1 and 2 to make sure the differentiated learning or the DEI is implemented in the classroom. 6 to 12. Do you think your classroom is DEI classroom? Give me the honest answer. Now you are under pressure because I already gave a round of applause to the grade 1 to 5. All of you are thinking we also should be claiming for that. Not that easy because I am a very keen observer. So 6 to 12, what is the ratio? Shali ma'am.
Again I am telling, in the class of 25, 2-3 children will be immediately giving you the answer. When you got the right answer, you close the question and you move on to the second topic. Right? Right or not? When you got the correct answer from 2-3 children, but that, do you think that or those 2-3 children represent the entire class? They don't. So what we are doing, we are not allowing the slow thinker to think and give an answer to me. Agreed? We don't do that. Our thing is, I posted a question, when the right answer came to me, yes, you are right, X, and move on to the teaching again. But this time I want you, all of you, to think and let them think and ask every single child, are you ready with your explanation? Now there is a proper challenge, particular challenge or realistic challenge. In a classroom setup of 25, 40 minutes is not adequate to ask every single child to give the reflection. So another tool I am giving you to solve this issue. You can introduce last 2 minutes for reflection of that particular parent. What you taught in that class. What can you do? Ask all the children before only, take out your notebook and pen and keep it ready in the class when you are teaching. Whatever you are writing on the board, encourage them to take the running notes. These are the normal practice. Before you end up the lesson, you ask them only 2 sentences. Only 2 sentences they need to write. One, what did they understand? And the second sentence is, if you had a question to ask based on today's topic, what question that would be? Clear? I want you to practice this one because I will be more monitoring and vigilant. And I want the coordinator to focus. Every single teacher should follow this instruction. Ask the students last 1 minute or 2 minutes before you sign off. Ask them to write only 2 sentences. One is, what did you understand? And the second one, if you wanted to ask one question to me, what that question would be. You know what psychological that will help? The child who is the extreme slow learner, whose voice is never heard, who never got the opportunity to speak, even if he is speaking rubbish, that child also will come with a writing. And he or she will feel that I was included into this topic. The child will go home and tell parents that now the madam is teaching completely different. She is asking me if I had a question, what that question would be. You collect all those questions, and next day when you enter into the classroom, generally what we do the reflection, what did you learn yesterday, and from there we go to the next day topic. In that amount of topic, you just ask children to repeat those questions. You answer the similar questions to all, and then you reflect, you move on to the next teaching paragraph. So I gave you 2 beautiful tools to identify the student's ability for diversification learning, and the one is to track whether they are taking part actively in the classroom. Avoid stereotypes and bias. When you go to the classroom, whatever I am saying, realistic. When we go to the classroom, we address the class. How? What we say? Dear boys and girls, good morning. Dear children, something. Okay? Instead of that, now focus on addressing the class, dear class. Never mention the name of any child, never use the word children or child. Dear class. The class means every single person included. And when you are calling the students, it should not be always Tanishka Malani, it should not be Fia Tiwari, it should not be the other children who are very good in communication in the classroom. You start picking up the children who never speaks in the classroom. That is a tool, that is a strategy. So what you need to send a message that the biasness is gone. You know, this year, 2 children left my campus, Khanak Jain and Riyansh Jain. When I communicated to the parents, they said, "Sir, we are extremely happy with you and we know that if we go to a different school, maybe this kind of learning opportunity will not be there. But one thing we understand, ma'am, Anita ma'am, you know that answer." They said, "We understood one thing," and they mentioned a child name. That until that child is present in the class, my child will never get the chance to speak out. That was the communication they made before applying for the TC. So is it not the negative impact of biasness? It is the negative impact of the biasness done by the teacher, 100%. So forget about the stereotypes and bias in the classroom. Reward every single child. Encourage participation from all students. Some of them will talk completely nonsense. Encourage them by telling them, "You are correct, but you can say the question in this format also." Accept what they are saying, then modify it. Promote empathy and respect. Create culturally responsive classroom. In here, I don't need much of explanation. Now, I am coming close. I said that I will be giving you a story one more time and think why this story is being told. 69 BC, before Christ, 69, nearly 2000 years ago, there was a lady who ruled a geographical part of the world as a queen. The child was born. What is it? Who was it? Absolutely correct. I am amazed that within this point only they understood it is Cleopatra. Cleopatra was born in Egypt, 69 BC. Cleopatra's father was Ptolemy II and mother was the sister of Ptolemy II. She was incest. You know incest means? The marriage between the brother and sister, biological brothers and sisters. In majority of the Egyptian dynasty, they believe that their blood is so pure that it should not get contaminated by outside. So, the policy was either the father will marry his own daughter, or the grandfather will be marrying the granddaughter, or the brother will be marrying the sister. So it was the incest, almost everywhere. And because of that, you know biology, those who are the biology teachers, the genetic disorder was very prominent. Tutankhamun, he died only when he was 19 years old. His body was completely deformed. I saw his mummy. It is kept in British Museum in London. The legs are like that, completely bent it was. He had a hump at his back. Cleopatra also was an incest, and she also had physical deformity. Cleopatra, after she was born, she was very much eager to get the power. She was the eldest child of her parents. When she was 18 years old, her father Ptolemy II died. Cleopatra was kept on the throne as a queen, but she was forced to share the responsibility along with his brother Ptolemy III. He was only 10 years old. He was 8 years younger than Cleopatra. So a 10 years old child was not able to manage the kingdom, right? Because he doesn't know anything. So who was taking the power? The supporters of Ptolemy III, means Cleopatra's brother. He had 10 people who came as a supporter or administrator on behalf of him. Like the way when Akbar became the emperor, he was only 14 years old. And Bikram Khan was the offside emperor on behalf of Akbar, right? So Cleopatra and her brother, they started ruling the country. But Cleopatra was very much eager to take the power. She started planning. But the other side, his brother's supervisors or the administrator, they were even more powerful to Cleopatra. After 3 years, when Cleopatra was 21 years old, Cleopatra was thrown out from Alexandria, the capital of Egypt. By that time, Cleopatra learned 7 languages, and she was fluent in the language when it comes to the speaking. Her family, nobody from her family, Ptolemy the one, Ptolemy the second, nobody speaks Egyptian language because they were from Greece, they were not from Egypt. So they used to speak in their own language. But Cleopatra understood that if I want to rule this country, I have to learn the language which the common people are talking. She learned 7 languages, including Latin, including English. She was extremely good when it comes to the physics, chemistry, biology, and medical science. She studied so well. She was extremely good when it comes to the political science. In Alexandria, there was a library, and nearly 10,000 books were there. Cleopatra read all 10,000 books by the time she was only 21 years old. She was the inventor of today what you are putting the makeup on. Eyeshadow, blushers and lipstick. It was designed and founded by Cleopatra. You know why? Because being of incest, she had some physical deformation. So she used to hide that one. So her eyes were very small. So to make it look bigger and beautiful, she invented the eyeshadow and the kajal. The lipstick to enhance her beauty. The designer necklace, the one she used to wear. When you search in the Google image Cleopatra, it always comes with a beautiful heavy necklace. You know why? She had an Adam's apple. So she used to hide that one. Her hair, as she was grey, but the mixed Egyptian was there, her hair was very curly and the forehead was very elongated. So she used to put a snake crown. That's how she tried to cover. So she was thrown out of the throne when she was 21 years old. Where did she go? She go to Rome and she hid herself from the public. She tried to build a group of soldiers that would be fighting for her. In that period of time, she came close to Mark Antony, who was one of the most famous politicians in Rome. He was not the king, but he was one of the most common person. Mark Antony made him meet Julius Caesar. You know the name of Julius Caesar? When Cleopatra met Julius Caesar, he was 22 years old. Julius Caesar was 52 years old. How did she meet Julius Caesar? Did you read the history? Did you read Cleopatra? She was forbidden to come to Alexandria by her brother. So what she did, Julius Caesar came to Alexandria to invade Egypt. Cleopatra thought that this is my best chance to enter into Alexandria, where she belonged to. She was hiding in Rome, but she was not allowed to come. There was an order by her own brother that the minute you saw her, the minute you need to execute her, take her, cut her head. So what she did, she covered herself with a beautiful carpet, and she pretended that one businessman is offering that carpet as a gift to Julius Caesar. So the person came with that carpet on his back and tell the guard that this is a beautiful carpet I wanted to give to Julius Caesar. The guard checked, it was really a carpet. They allowed her to go inside. When the carpet were unfolded, out came Cleopatra. She was only 4 feet 7 inches tall. She was hiding inside the carpet. When Julius Caesar saw Cleopatra, she was beautiful with the makeup. She was very beautiful when he started speaking, because 7 languages she speaks, 10,000 books she already read, and she was having a very strong IQ. So she made Julius Caesar fall in love with her. They were having a 30 years age gap. They married, and Cleopatra gave birth to a child which called Caesarion. After that, couple of years after, Caesar came back to Rome. And you know, after going back to Rome, Julius Caesar was brutally murdered by the senators. You know that, right? I am lucky enough, I saw the exact place where Julius Caesar was killed. It is still kept in Rome. It's outside of the Vatican City. The palace is there, and there is a ground where he was killed by 10 people. They stabbed. So while Julius Caesar was killed, Cleopatra was in Rome along with her husband. Cleopatra thought that now my husband is killed and I am unprotected. She immediately called Mark Antony and told her that I need support from you. Mark Antony was already in love with Cleopatra before. So now he thought that now this is the best time to offer her for marriage. Mark Antony and Cleopatra got married, and they had 3 beautiful children. One is a twin, a son and a daughter, and then another one is a son. After that, Mark Antony and Cleopatra marched toward Alexandria, and Cleopatra was able to kill her own brother, Ptolemy II, and Cleopatra became the king of Egypt, Alexandria. She started ruling the country. Mark Antony has a best friend whose name was Octavian. Octavian was that time in Rome. Octavian didn't like the way Mark Antony was climbing up to the power, because Mark Antony was from Rome, but he was managing Rome Senate, and also at the same time he was the husband of the Queen of Alexandria. So Mark Antony had immense power. Octavian didn't like it. What Octavian did, Octavian came after 4 years of their marriage. Octavian came with a huge number of soldiers to Alexandria. 1 year there was a fight, and finally Mark Antony was killed. After Mark Antony's death, Cleopatra didn't have any option, because she knew that I will be captured by Octavian and I will be taken to Rome and I will be made parade in front of the common people barefoot as a prisoner. Her self-respect was so strong, she decided to kill herself. There are 2 different stories. One said that she dressed up in her gold cloth, that was her queen attire, and she lied on the bed. She stretched out both of her hands, and then she asked her Shemika, means the servant, lady servant, that I kept a couple of extreme poisonous snakes in a jar. You bring them and let them on me. So the servant followed the same thing. She brought all the snakes and let them open in front of Cleopatra. Cleopatra was lying on her royal bed, and those snakes did the job. She died immediately. The minute Octavian entered into her palace, she was already dead. And you know that Cleopatra was the last pharaoh of Egypt. After that, Egypt was never a free kingdom. It was ruled by Rome, and later it was ruled by the Mesopotamian people. I told the story. Now, Cleopatra's life and this, what is the significance? What is the significance of Cleopatra's life and DEI in the classroom? Think the reference of Leonardo da Vinci. You can have a group discussion and you can come to me. Or is it you already raised the hand? Tell me.
languages and different subject matters also throughout her life. Not only by surviving but also championing all of them. So
For Cleopatra, diversity, equity and inclusion. Which element you think the most important element? Is it the diversity? Is it the equity? Or is it the inclusion? Please raise your hand. Don't give me the group answer. I will not be able to.
Sir, I think it's inclusion because before from Egypt to Rome, she has already taught herself and proved that all the diverse things she has learned.
So according to Shali ma'am, it is the inclusion. What are the other answer, Rajoshi? Equity. Why?
Because she gathered all her support system based on her individual need.
Any more answer? Any more answer? Is it the diversity? Is it the equity or is it the inclusion? Ma'am said inclusion, Rajoshi said equity. Anything else do you want to talk about? These two only. I am waiting. I am following the inclusion strategies. So until the last person speak, I will wait. Any more answer wants to come or shall I close it down? Any answer? Yes, ma'am.
So she tried to equip herself with diverse knowledge during that time. She read all the books in all subjects because she knew about the future. If it is not challenges might be coming up, so she equipped herself, prepared herself for them.
All of you are correct. What the difference with Leonardo da Vinci and Cleopatra? Leonardo da Vinci, it was always the diversity. Because he traveled from one place to another, he adapted the new lifestyle, new language, everything. So diversity, then followed the equity, and then followed the inclusion. But for Cleopatra, why I used her reference? For Cleopatra, it is the perfect example of DEI in all single film. First one is what Rajoshi has said, is equity. Leonardo da Vinci, the first one was diversity. But for Cleopatra, it was the equity. Why? She was so clever and smart. She knew when she was 18 years old, she got the throne. But she knew that if I need to survive, I need to prepare myself. So when she was only 11 years old, she started preparing herself for the future. So that makes the understanding what I told you, that you need to, if you want to establish the differentiated learning, recognize the individual potential of individual child. So 11 years old Cleopatra, she knew one thing, that my father, mother, anybody doesn't speak Egyptian. So they have no connection with the common people. She learned Egyptian so that she can connect with the normal people. That is called the understanding and reflect on the equity part. Then, why another 6 languages? Apart from Egyptian and Greek, these two are her own language. Why the another 5 languages? Why English and why Roman? Latin.
To expand her English towards others, other countries and other sources, to take the responsibility either or to take the help from other people.
She had an idea that if I want to become the queen, I will be expanding my kingdom to a large continent. That was the dream she had. And for that, she knew that I need to make myself available to the foreign representatives. And I don't want an interpreter to come and translate. Because the first rule of being a king or queen is not to trust anyone. Right? You know Ottoman dynasty? You know Ottoman dynasty, which country does it belong to? Turkey. The Ottoman dynasty is the Turkey dynasty. They ruled for nearly 600 years. But surprisingly, within 24 years time span, everybody died. 600 years dynasty got closed only within 24 years. Why? You know, in Ottoman dynasty, there was a basic rule. When the king died, the Samrat died, the next person, the eldest son, will be the king. And same day, the eldest son must need to kill all his younger brothers, one day only. So today I became the king, I have 4 siblings. Every single person will be killed on the same day. So what happened? Within 600 years time, slowly the king killed all his brothers. So if the king is dying in the middle, the child of the king will become the king and then they will be dying. So the dynasty is actually slowly vanishing because everybody is getting death penalty by the king. So 24 years time it is done and it is vanished. In Cleopatra, she knew about it that I need to survive. So for her, the first one was the equity, second one was the inclusion, the third one was the diversity. This is how she made herself the greatest queen of all time. Do you know that Cleopatra is called as one of the most beautiful and pretty queen? But she was not beautiful at all. If you see her real picture, again I will refer British Museum, there is a coin, silver coin. It was printed during the reign of Cleopatra. And the lady's picture on the coin, it was Cleopatra, had a very, a very elongated neck, long forehead, curly short hair, and very short height. It was the look. But the way she disguised herself, she became the second prettiest queen after Nefertiti. So, now the next one, understanding Bal Batika during this DEI. The pre-primary teachers, I want you to focus more on it. What is Bal Batika? What is Bal Batika? Because now on 2026 onwards, all pre-primary teachers will be evaluated based on the Bal Batika teaching methodology. So what is Bal Batika? Yesterday I communicated that before NEP 2020, the first pre-primary, means Montessori, was not a part of the Indian curriculum system or Indian education system. It was still repeating the British education pedagogy, which is called the Montessori training or Montessori teaching methodology, which is chalk and talk method. So majority of the pre-primary teachers, they used to teach the way they actually wanted to teach. There was no intervention from the government side. But Bal Batika, introduction of Bal Batika, made it clear that whatever the NEP 2020 recommendation, it is implemented for the Bal Batika. So what are that? First objectives of introducing Bal Batika is the school readiness. Nursery 1, Nursery 2, KG 1, KG 2, these couple of years, we need to prepare the children for coming to grade 1. Right? So that is called the school readiness. Second is foundational literacy and numeracy. What is foundational literacy? Yesterday, ma'am, you mentioned one activity that, what is that? Phonics. Phonics is the foundational literacy for the children. Right? A, E, I, O, U, and based on that, how the sounds can actually form the letter of the word. So that is the foundational literacy. What is foundational numeracy? What is foundational numeracy? They need to know and count 1, 2, 3 until 25. Backwards and frontwards. So 1 to 25, 25 to 1. That is what is the NEP recommendation. Okay? Second is coming social and emotional development. Social development means when you are able to adapt the social culture that are happening in school. And what is the emotional development? First couple of days when the children get admitted, they cry a lot, right? They cry, they miss their parents and all. But slowly, within the 2 to 3 weeks, they try to settle down. And they get the adaptability of the new environment. Why? Because credit goes to you, the way you nurture the children, the way you love them, the way you provide the homely atmosphere so that they will be free to communicate. Next is physical and cognitive growth. What is cognitive development? What is cognitive growth? What is cognitive growth? Shalima.
Ability to think and connect themselves from the real life and then analyze and then answer. It's not the mental ability of the child. It's called as cognitive.
Can anybody, correct, but can anybody tell me, because I already referred it, can anybody tell me with the proper definition from psychological terms, what is cognitive development? When our motor sensory nerves are fully functional and can reflect on the outside environment is called the cognitive development. Means a child is entering into the classroom, there is a door stopper, right? The child first thing, how to react with the door stopper. Do the child know that does the child know that if I remove the door stopper, the door might hurt my body? First reflection. Second, the child, when the class is there, if there is a dangerous element, the child will refrain herself or himself from the dangerous element. When the child is going home, the child is smart enough to collect his or her own book bag, the water bottle, the packed lunch box. These are all under the cognitive development when it comes to the Bhattacharjee group. It gets differentiated from the different age group. And last is joyful and play-based learning. What is the age group for Bhattacharjee? Typically, it is the 5 to 6 years before the formal schooling. Means from 3 years to 6 years is called the Bhattacharjee. Okay? Is it clear to the primary teachers, ma'am? All of you primary teachers, what is Bhattacharjee and why it is connected? Key features of Bhattacharjee child-centered early learning is learning through play pedagogy, stories, rhymes, art and craft, music and movement, exploration and discovery. There is no subject specification. Only the foundational literacy, foundational numeracy and the environment. These are the 3 elements are mentioned by NEP 2020 or CBSE. We have added computer in our junior branches. So, key features of Bhattacharjee is playgroup methodology. What is the development areas? Language skills. The child must need to communicate if the child needs to go to the washroom, if the child needs to drink water, if the child is feeling sleepy, if the child is feeling hungry. Only this is the limited learning. Language skills they require. Numeracy skills, 1 to 25, 25 to 1. That is it. Motor development. What I said, that when the child is entering into the class, they need to look around, they need to identify what are the dangerous elements in the classroom. Then emotional well-being. If a child is getting bullied by another child, if a child is having the inappropriate touch or bad conduct from home or during the traveling, driver or anybody, the child must need to feel safe inside the classroom under your domain. So, For that, what is required? Good touch and bad touch activity in the classroom. Then it comes the social interaction. Majority of the time, the parents, they complain during the PTM that I made one child from a different school when I went to a kitty party or when I went to a social gathering. That child is studying in this school and so fluent and so confident when it is communicating. But why my child is always feeling nervous and shy when it comes to the communication? Do you get that comment? You guys get that comment. Why this is happening? Why a child is smart and able to talk, while another child is not smart or not able to talk? Is it your fault? Is it the fault of the teachers or the teaching pedagogy or something different? Please tell all the junior batch teachers, I want to identify. Is it the fault of yours that I am not able to teach properly, differentiated learning scope is not there or the time is not there, or the school or the textbook that is providing is too heavy for the children or too low for the children? So the English communication is never developing, or is there any other hidden thing that you need to understand? Both of you can talk.
Sometimes children are know how to communicate, but the confidence level, they don't have the confidence to speak with everyone. That's why they are not socially so independent. It's
Absolutely correct. When you wanted to say something. So the communication barrier, you are saying. Did you notice one behavior of the parent or pre-primary parents particularly? That in a social gathering, घर में बहुत सारे guest मेहमान आए हैं. They are sitting in the lounge, they are talking, food was served, and they were having snacks or having chit chat. I am talking, I am giving the reference to Telangana, Raipur Society, Chhattisgarh Society. The little children, they came playing. They are coming. They are very curious because घर में guest आए हैं, मेहमान आए हैं. They wanted to spend some time with the guests. They wanted to taste the food that was served to the guests. What the parents do? Do they allow the children in there, or do they say, बेटा ये आपकी जगह नहीं है, आप घर में जाके रूम में जाके बैठो, आपके पास बुक्स है, पढ़ो और मोबाइल दे देते हैं और टीवी खोल देते हैं? What do the parents do? Second option, do you think that psychologically that is actually damaging the child to build up the confidence? So what you need to do is, आपके पास घर में इंटरफेयर करने का कोई चांसेस नहीं है. You cannot do anything. So what the best option you can do? You can give the chance to that particular child in your school. Let the child speak whatever the child wants. Let the child express, even if it is meaningless. हर एक दिन spend 2 to 3 minutes to all children to come and share their stories. Every day it is not possible because 20-30 children are there in the class. So first day, pick up 3 children and call them and say that can you share your story? घर में आज क्या हुआ था, कल क्या हुआ था, शाम को आप क्या किए? सभी बच्चों के सामने बोलने के लिए ask that child to explain. हर एक दिन 3 before you start the class. Then next day 3, next day 3, randomly you pick up. Right? What would happen? The child will slowly build up the confidence because the teacher is encouraging. And whenever the child finishes, never correct the English grammar. बेटा ये इस तरह से नहीं बोलना, it is wrong. Never correct. Give a round of applause and say you said very correctly and it is very good. Ask all the children to give the positive feedback to them. So that will develop the social interaction part, and also that will develop the socio-emotional balance. Integrating Bal Bhatika in mainstream teaching, bridging early childhood and primary education. What is the transition strategy? First one, continuity of play-based learning. I want the grade 1 teacher from my campus to focus. Now, why I include the junior branch teachers in this particular session? There should be a smooth transition from pre-primary junior branches to primary branches. If that smooth transition is not there, there is a chance of fallout. Like now, we are having 6 branches, right? From 6 branches, if 20 students are there in each KG2 class, why 120 students are not coming to take admission in senior branch? Some of the factors are there, far away from the city, geographical location, the fee structure is way too high. These couple of things are there. But the most important thing is the transition is not smooth. What they are getting taught, the methodology, what you guys are practicing in junior branch, our branch we are not practicing that. Right? So the branch is not there. Now after this Bhattacharjee establishment, we need to come to the front. First is, our school, the grade 1, should prepare the lesson plan and the pedagogy based on the play-based teaching methodology, which they are habituated in the KG2 classes. Reduce emphasis on rote learning. You know what I meant? Activity-oriented classroom. The classroom should be happening every day, something of that. Smooth progression to grade 1. Benefits: better school readiness, increased confidence level, improved learning outcomes, and reduced learning gaps. Agree or understand? DEI and Bhattacharjee connection. How Bhattacharjee supports inclusion. You guys already communicated one thing, that in your school, the DEI is 50-50 because there are some lots of external affairs, external influence. So Bhattacharjee should promote one thing, equal learning opportunities. Second, respect for individual pace of learning, inclusive participation, language-rich environment, emotional security, and early identification of learning needs. I gave you a tool. Access that. One side laptop, YouTube video, one side drawing ability, one side is the reading structure. So you identify that. And all the other things I believe that you guys are doing it correctly in your class. Challenges and solution. I kept the challenges in this side solution. First, challenges drive diverse learners need, which you all accept. That some of them are intelligent, some of them are very poor, some of them are average. So what is that? Differentiated instruction, which I said. Language barriers, speak in both English and Hindi. Learning gaps, remedial interventions, bias and stereotypes. Never encourage the child who always gives the right answer. Encourage every single child in the class. Limited resources, community and parental engagement. Last is the key recommendations for the school. What are the recommendations? First thing is continuous teacher training program. Particularly for the differentiated learning, you guys need to learn many things, not only the junior branch, every single one of us. How to make sure the differentiated learning is established in the classroom, including curriculum implementation. Do you have any question about that one? What is the inclusive curriculum implementation? It should be the textbook mapped with the CBSE learning outcome. Parental support, always include the parents when you are concluding or when you are conducting an activity in the classroom. Child-friendly infrastructure. Yesterday I told that primary teachers, when they teach in the classroom, they change the voice modulation and they act like a child in the classroom. And I said that the best teacher who acts like a child in the class but thinks like an adult in the classroom. So your behavior should be a childlike behavior. Child-friendly infrastructure, we already have it. The lower small side chairs, tables, lots of colorful decoration in the classroom, flashcards, teaching elements, audio-visual tool, everything you guys are already having it. Flexible assessment, which you don't have, which I have in my campus. You guys don't have. I am planning actually to have a word with your leadership team to implement the flexible assessment tool. You know, when I introduced 2 sets of question paper in my school, first year, out of 300 parents, only 6 parents raised a concern. 294 parents, they were silent, they didn't say anything. Only 6 parents said that why there are 2 sets of paper and why it was the foundation and hard tie. That year, first time when the printing was done, because of our mistake, some of the question paper had the H as an interpretation of hard tie, F as the interpretation of foundation tire. So some of the parents, only 6 parents, got a question mark. But remaining all parents, they accepted the evaluation strategy. First I introduced this for PA1, only for the periodic assessment. Term assessment I didn't introduce. But last year I introduced during the term assessment and every single parent accepted and appreciated. That yes sir, because of the question paper, the differentiation of question paper, my child was able to perform. You know, when I introduced that question paper, after the exams were conducted, one teacher came out from the exam room and shared a feedback. Shubha ma'am, do you remember? It was Shubha ma'am. She came out that day, she had the invigilation duty. I am talking about 2024 and 25. She had the invigilation duty in grade 8. That time it was the grade 7. Ma'am came and took 2 names. That said, आज तक मैंने कभी इन दोनों बच्चों को एग्जाम पेपर खत्म करते हुए नहीं देखा, और अगर करते भी हैं तो they were never happy and satisfied. But आज पहली बार देखा एग्जाम खत्म करने के बाद they both came and told that ma'am, we wrote the answers very nicely. This time that paper was very good. It was Kanha and it was Krishna. My memory sharp, I remember. So you see that what I started in a small initiative, offering 2 sets of paper, it is now giving me a bigger fruit. And now, when there is a PTM, how does our PTM look like? Is it a very controversial, argumentative, or very calm and quiet PTM? Which one? Now, in my school, I am senior, the PTM is very, very well formed. There is no argument, no parental complaint. Academically, not even a single complaint was launched during last academic year. The complaint that I received was the infrastructure. That sometimes, sir, इतना payment करने के बाद भी बस का AC काम नहीं कर रहा है. Food में से ये आप add कर दीजिए थोड़ा सा, it will be fine. But not a single parent said that the academic is not going good, or the correction is not good, or the improvement is not visible. All those problem areas are gone because of these initiatives. So if you guys want, I will talk to the authority to find a solution for flexible assessment tool. Use of experiential and competency-based learning, regular monitoring and inclusion practices. Takeaways, what is that? Ray, you will not be able to see, I will post that in the group. Diversity enriches learning environments. Equity ensures fairness and access. Inclusion creates belonging and participation. CBSE advocates inclusive learner-centered education. Bal Bhattacharjee lays the foundation for lifelong learning. Together, DEI and Bhattacharjee help build a compassionate, equitable and future-ready education system. One small activity for 2 minutes and then I will end up. All teachers, remember a best teacher in your time when you were a school-going child. All of you. And tell me why that teacher is still remembered by you. I am giving a 2 minutes thinking time and then I will ask the question. Only one teacher's name you have to take. Either the teacher is from primary school or middle school, high school or university. A teacher's name and why you remember the teacher. Who is ready? Rajesh. This time I want you to stand so that everybody can see.
The name of the teacher is Mr. Pedagogical. He was our English teacher and taught me from 9th grade to 12th grade. Why I still remember Pedagogical sir? Because in a classroom of around 40 to 50 students, somehow he is connected with every individual. At the same time, in the classroom of 50, he knows, suppose he is giving a dictation, he has the idea that which student wrote how much, without even looking their paper. So that was the first thing I think about Milan sir. And the second one is, he has a huge impact on many of us, of the students. Even that can be reflected on our handwriting today. Many of our classmates, our handwriting became like English. So that impact, he never said anything like he never criticized anyone's handwriting, never forced like to copy, to follow my style. But somehow we got so influenced because he, one thing he always encouraged us to stand alone, to be someone.
Thank you so much, Rajesh. The next person I want to take a little bit lesser time. We are coming close. Who is the next one to talk? You said very well. Juma ma'am.
Sir, my nursery teacher, Mrs. Grant, she taught me for nursery PP1 and PP2, and I was very much fluent in English when I was in PP2. I was totally fluent, even though I didn't speak English at home. I used to speak Bangla, but I learned English when I was in PP2. So I remember.
So you remember that lady because she made your communication skills better. Okay. Anybody else? Harishan sir.
I remember my high school teacher, Dr. Pinaki Ghosh. He was the history teacher, and I very particularly remember him because I have seen very few teachers who can teach history in that way. Because for many people it's boring, it's like that. But from him, at least in the classroom setup, I have learned of storytelling, how to connect with this. Just like today you have done a setup of story before going for the chapter, and timeline mainly. Till date, I can remember the dates or the events of history very well because of that thing. That he made us know how to connect dates and things like 1795 Masnad, then 1757 Palasi, 1857 Sepoy Mutiny, 1764. So these dates I remember because the timeline he made us play. Today we use these padlets and all, but that time he manually made us remember that. Very one particular reason, today we talk about all this inclusive and everything, he used to read the mind of children mostly, that today they are not in a mood of studying much. So he introduced these storytelling sessions to us, like students used to go and tell stories to their classmates, that whatever they have understood, it can be anything, like films, books, anything it can be. But he gave us the freedom to speak up, coming at front, giving that personality development things. We didn't know about all these things that time. We didn't know the manners and everything. But he made us do that.
Anybody else? Well said. Anyone else? Ma'am. So loud volume you can.
Her name is Khushbu ma'am.
Okay.
When I'm in class 9, she's teaching us science subject. I'm always thinking science is most boring subject because you have to do all rectification and teacher will come and just write notes on board and explain all these things. But when she came to teach us, she brings some models and audio visual things in our life. She introduced these kind of teaching in our life. And at that time I decided I'd take science in my future and to become a teacher. Just she admired me to become a teacher.
Very well said, and I appreciate that. There will be thing.
When I am in primary section, like 1 to 4, I have a teacher, his name is Anjali ma'am. I forget the title. So she is the one who gave me confidence in any level. What you have or not, you have the confidence to do what you can. So she encouraged every student to study as well as the extracurricular activities and take it as important as the studies. When we write any kind of paragraph, she told every child to come here and read it for your fellow peers. And we are heard that and we are getting inspired how she is writing or he is writing, and we implement that in our paragraph. If we do, she also encourages that too. And the second one, she encourages us to do any kind of extracurricular activities like recitation and drama. I am good at drama, so every time when there is any kind of drama and any kind of cultural activities, she always support me to join there and be a part of there. So what I am today, in my literature way, that is for Anjali.
Any last person? Thank you, Devi. Any last person? Anjali.
My case is a bit different. I want to share two things. One is my dance teacher, Dr. Basanti Vaishnav. Just because of her, I got 2 national prizes and I got a chance to perform with the Kathak Samrat. Then after second time, I went for Sister Bharta. She was my English teacher. Just because of her, today I am going as Anju Singh. Actually, the Anju name is not my original name. Just because of 10th certificate, it was ICSE board. That day, my grandmother passed away and I was not there at that time. And she printed my name, Anju. Because she's supposed to call me as Leena. I don't know why. So, she told me, I know, her name is not Leena, she's Anju. Otherwise, my name is from the birth, Sonanika Singh. I'm Sonanika Singh. If in my family or my friends, anybody if you call me as Anju, nobody will know.
All of you, thank you very much. What did you understand when you were? I know that Ankita ma'am is here because the transport is waiting. I understood that. What did you understand by this activity, the one that we did right now? Do we remember the teacher based on the way they taught the subject? Or do we remember the teacher the way they were personally or emotionally connected to us? Which one? The second one. We only remember the teachers, those who were emotionally connected, those who gave us the freedom to think separately, accepted our thinking ability, and nurtured our ability to become a better human being or a better professional. So now you know which teacher you want to become and which category you want to belong. Thank you very much. Anita ma'am, please collect the phone number so that the WhatsApp can be sent to them. I appreciate all of you joining and thank you very much. Tomorrow onwards, only the senior teachers will be coming with the micro teaching presentation based on whatever I taught until today. Every single thing should be reflected. Thank you guys. Please.